Hey y'all, my ears are all clogged up and everything from allergies and trying to get the right temperature when I sleep, but that is not going to turn off my excitement about my boys' upcoming concerts. So we are slowly walking our way into the Eyes on You World Tour, for real, World Tour time. Here in Korea, it is Wednesday, so things kick off for them in 48 hours. I can't even stop it. I can't. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do, not necessarily a great moments in production and delivery again for them because they've had one before. I wanted to kind of take you through their discography. Some of you are completely new to the group. Some of you quite can't stand the group, and that's all right. But maybe if I shed a little bit of light on their Korean discography and the concepts that were tied into that, maybe it'll make you look a little bit more. Now, I don't know how easy this is going to be for me to not necessarily talk about individual songs, but there is an official discography listing on JYP Entertainment's website, and you can go down to the description of this video and be able to access that link. Some of it is in English, some of it is not. So I'm only focusing again on their Korean concepts, not the Japanese ones. I don't often listen to the Japanese albums. I know they exist. I know that they are there. I know they have another one coming out very soon with only 6 of them and not 7 because Jackson wasn't involved, but that's neither here nor there. We are focused on the Korean concept because the Korean albums are the ones that are sending them on the world tour. 알았어요? Good. All right. I feel bad calling them my 7 little nuggets because they're all adult men now. And I just like, we're not that far apart in age. So I think I think we've come up with on that time where I have to retire that saying for them. Oh, it kind of makes me sad. Okay. All right. GOT7, who was formerly known as GOT7's Little Nuggets, my little nuggets, but they will always be Jinju's GOT7, debuted with their album Got It on January 20th of 2014. Oh my God, 4 years ago. And it was a cute little album. I had never seen one like it before. It was shaped like a star and it was silver. The concept with that was swagging. Now I hate that. I hate that because like what the hell is swagging, but that was where girls came from, which a lot of people are like, it grated on my nerves. Okay, that's fine, well, and all that magic and whatnot. But they were going for a hip-hop tone through the whole album that now looking back, it sounds very much like a group that didn't have a solid direction. They were just grabbing whatever they could. This was the time when you saw a lot of their clothes extra big and baggy, very strange, eclectic patterns and whatnot. But that wasn't always the case. Like they just here, when you see somebody with like a ball cap on, and maybe a sport jersey or some jeans and whatnot. They call all of this hip hop style. So they were really embracing that because at that time they were, known as the high flying hip hop group. A lot of aerial stunting and Mark and Jackson doing flips and whatnot. JB doing some of his b-boy moves and things of that sort. So that's where all of this started from. Very similar to 2PM, who started with the tricking concept initially as well, and definitely grew out of that. So the boys to some extent have grown out of it, but it began here. You had the clothing, the original photo shoot that pretty much emulated the colors of the album case. So you had a lot of them like hitting b-boy poses and martial arts tricking poses in the what would say the cover image. Ain't no cover. It's a star-shaped album. But the album images and whatnot. Also, you had like a lot of the black and silver and gray hue outfits and things of that sort. This was the beginning of Jackson's love life with pants that were sagging in the crotch. They were comfortable for him because of the movements that he had to make. That also made him distinctly different from the rest of the group because they weren't wearing it, but also because he's got legs and thighs like I do. These pants out here in Korea ain't meant for us, okay? If you got muscular thighs, Like, it's a struggle. It really is. And this was the days prior to Wonho being, thick like bacon grease. So, fashion has changed a little bit over the course of 4 years to accommodate not necessarily long legs. Sorry, Jackson, I love you. Not necessarily long legs, but very sculpted, very muscular ones on smaller frames. So the songs then were heavy EDM. These stereotypes, some of it is Southern hip hop or South hip hop. And I'm just like, what South are y'all talking about? But whatever, it worked for them. Then we move over to GOT7, Got Love. One of my absolute favorite album covers, one of my happiest albums. That's the album that led off with A. Good Tonight is on there, Forever Young. And then the remixes to A, which were also my jam. So they come back. It's still the hip hop concept. It most definitely is. But now you can see some of the distinct colors of the boys. This is the album that all 7 of them are walking through a city and everyone's just laughing and smiling. And they look like brothers. It means so much to me. It's also the last time Bam Bam looked like a baby. The last time, because after this, he came back. Well, no, I take that back. He still had a baby face in the album that's going to come after this, which I'll mention in just a second. But this was the last time he distinctly looked like he could have been the magne in the group, and it wasn't, Yu-Gi-Oh. His hair was blonde. This wasn't the last time he's going to be blonde because he tried to kill all of us during Never Ever. But we'll get to that, okay? But yeah, they looked very, very brotherly. It just made me so happy. It came out in January. Let me look at the website. We're not about to guess. January 23rd. I'm sorry, June. What the hell? June 23rd of 2014. So in 2014, they was really just tossing them albums out there. We got 3 of them from them that year. So yes, again, still going with the hip hop vibe, but now we're starting to get some of the urban R&B that is something that JB is very passionate about, So you got me, which is like this infamous track opening. It's the second time that we got Jackson's going a swagger like me, but it really won on You Got Me. They basically took the Yin Yang Twins Whisper song and made their own less racy version of it. So the concept was showing that they are still true to these hip hop-esque vibes that they all have an appreciation for, but we started to get a little greater infusion of distinct GOT7 R&B, whatever that may mean at this time. It was still kind of fuzzy. You would see them not necessarily in matching outfits. They were all complementing each other with urban wear. You got a lot of denim was in this era and a lot of khaki colored stuff. I honest to God, I think they put Mark in cargo pants at one time. And like, that's just a look that just won't die. It just never will die. This was also when he had the poodle hair, if you're kind of trying to remember based upon concepts. Jackson was still rocking his hats, which is something he does often in live performances. He just preferences to wear a hat, not saying that he does it all the time because there's a substantial amount of proof that he doesn't. But this is when he decided to attack everybody right up in the face with his little gray ball cap and the cute jeans and that white shirt and the jacket. And he was out here slaying. And I was uncomfortable. And that's how we're going to end that. Okay. So we come off of that and we go over to another one of their albums, which was Identify. Now, I was guilty at one point of messing up the name of it by calling it Identity. That's just being hard headed. But it was a groove album. It was it was an album more so focused on dance vibes. Gimme was on there. Haji Ma Dangit was on there too. The Dangit is from those of you who are familiar with my fangirl version of it. Not On Girl was on here. They gave us a lot of songs and a lot of videos off of this, whether it was an official video or them dancing in the dance studio. And I believe this was the era in which we started getting a lot of additional concepts for their dance practice videos for other songs. Because previously we had like 3 different versions of Girl, Girl, Girl and all that and whatnot. an A and things, and they did put Girls, Girls, Girls and A at the end of this album as well, just to give you a full wraparound of what all they had been doing. So the first two albums that I mentioned, Got It and Got Love, those were extended plays. Those were EPs, which is really dope. This was their first studio album. And I was really proud of them because this was also the album tied into the very first time I saw them live. So Identify was released November 18th, 2014. And again, as I said, this was a dance album. They were in the pocket of groove. So there was, what's the best way to explain what groove is? Not necessarily fast tempo songs. They were all pretty much in this snap. No time, girl, girl, girl. Oh, give me your love. It was all in the same tempo. It all fit. It was the same groove for the majority of the song, with the exception of Hajima. Like, it was a little bit slower. Hajima, Hajima. Just a little bit slower. But they were trying their best to create a concept that you could start from beginning to end and just bop to. It's one of my favorite albums of theirs, honest to goodness. I don't think it is their best album, but it is one of my favorites in terms of the listening pleasure you get from it. They they were starting to grow into the sounds that are more identifiable for them now. This was the album where you got a lot of the kit drum that is familiar with a lot of their songs, but this is where it started, and it just sprawls from here. Moving on from there, we had a break from them. We had a we had a good little break. I was like actually slightly low key in my feels about it because they decided to not release anything again in Korea until Just Right, which was July of 2015. So we had a stretch. We had a stretch without them doing anything. And they came back with Just Right, Dak Choa, with the teasers of it. And it's one teaser I cannot find to this day, where it's just the guitar. Ding, 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 but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. This album was short and sweet. It had Just Right. It had Nice Mind, Back to Me. There was a lot going on this. It wasn't a precise direction, but it didn't matter because it was just an EP. It was just an extended play, so it didn't have to be that long. It's 6 tracks on it. And this with Dr. Choa was the first time I felt like they actually did find something Southern hip hop. The concept with this was very bright. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Identify was the concept where Jackson had jacked his hair up completely for falling asleep at the barbershop, and Bam Bam's haircut wasn't all that good either. Okay. And this was also the era of the memes teasing JB, where he looked like he's saying WTH or WTF because of how confused he looked at Hajima Hajima. It was also one of the times that we saw members of Twice. We saw them for the very first time in Girls, 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 and then there were some members in that video. Just a FYI, just a FYI. Okay, coming on back to 2015, Just Right. We've got a lot of Skittle colors. We got the Puff Puff Pass sweatshirt at this time. Um, it was such a cute concept. It was very colorful, very youthful. Just Right was an emotionally uplifting song for whomever was listening to it. Well, at least that was the intention going in. For those of us who are a little bit older who love the song, we have maybe different memories tied into it, but it's still a very happy, very positive song and a very nice touch to an album that had one disappointing song on there, which is Mine. Mine started off slugging, like we was really gonna go into a real cool direction, and then all of a sudden they throw this dark, broden ass chorus on there that just killed me. Like, why'd you do it? I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it. You can probably look on my YouTube channel for the first listen to that. I was really bent out of shape about that. A lot of influences on this track for its concept were things that were done by Justin Bieber. Also, there's artists called C Minor and Chris Brown, because Yu Young loves Chris Brown. So there were some of those influences there as well. Um, Things just looked really, really skittily and happy. And it was very refreshing to see it because then they came with the album that started collecting them wins, and we haven't stopped since. Mad dropped after this. Mad came out September 29th, 2015, and it was when we started racking up these music show wins. Mad from start to finish is a full body. We are finally here, and we have a sound album. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's the greatest album of their non flight log eras. Oh my gosh. First and foremost, the concepts was murdered. Everybody came back tan. Jesus be offense. Everybody had the melanin up on the beach in Busan or Jeju or LA, wherever it was they was at. I don't even care. Freaking Yu Gum came back tall as all get out. He was already tall, but he shot up like broccoli. And then Bam Bam turned into asparagus that we wasn't even prepared for. Started slapping us in the face with hair colors none of us had anticipated. Jin Young put on short sleeves. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Okay, it had been a while since we had seen his arms. That was the last time that his chest didn't look like what it does now. He's not known for showing off his body and things of that sort. He's conservative in his artistry. He lets his dance moves and his vocals do the talking for him. But this was the last time. I don't know what happened between this album and the album after, because he came back swole. Couldn't nobody touch JB. JB had the facial expression of total frustration, which the entire group made fun of during the concept promotions of this. Jackson's hair. Jackson came back blonde and slimmer, and many of us who had never cared started caring. They should. He was so blind. He was. Anywho, the concept was very manly because everyone in the group then was 19 and over, so they have to kind of wait, you know, to give you those magical moments of fashion and hair colors. And like Mark can do no wrong with any color he had. He was a dusty blonde. Like, let's not ignore the fact that he had some hair color popping too. And I think, is this the first time solidly that Young Jay went like reddish brown? Like, I don't think he had a color prior to this. I think he was keeping it dark. Ain't no harm in that. Everybody had a color this time. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Everybody looked really handsome. This was also when they started slapping us in the face with the suits on stage concept. Not the first time. They did it when they did wow, my voice is cracking. I'm trying to explain this. They did it during a performance of songs by Rain and things of that sort, but it wasn't for their own concept. This is when they got on them red blocks. I mean, sorry, that red stage with them white clear blocks and all had on black attire and was gyrating and things of that sort. It was a sensual era in their time. Okay. The songs, we were still going into pop. They love it. They are a pop group, so that's going to be a part of it. There was urban pop. It was very R&B esque and whatnot. But we also had some house music going on too. We had like a touch of deep house, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, that was a great era for us. It really was. I'm saying us like I was the one producing the album. Whatever. I GOT7. I say what I want. And then they re-released with the winter edition of the album. They did that, and look at the discography. Don't sit here and lie. They did that November 2015, November 23rd. So they had a few other additional tracks on there. They had If You Do, the stage version, which I really enjoy. It was the version that they played when they came back with the concept, but they didn't release until this album. You also had the Confession song. A lot of people just absolutely adore and love that song. Yeah, then we didn't have anything for a while. They left us for a few months and came back with Flight Log. Flight Log was their 3-part trilogy. Wow, that's the same thing, dork. 3-part and trilogy are the same thing. So they came back with their trilogy called Flight Log. Flight Log Departure was the first in the order and was the greatest one out of the whole project. I really don't care what you say to try to combat that. This is not a great moments in production and delivery, so I won't break it down in that regard. We are only looking at the discography and looking at the concepts. Flight Log was very airy, had a narrative to it that I still don't feel was concluded very well when you really look at all of it. Departure was the introduction to all of it. We had 8 tracks on that. We had Fly, which was a fun concept. They had these gorgeous skittily pink and skittily blue outfits and whatnot. And they looked very well put together. There was a lot of thematic looks in this concept that I was just really digging. We had EDM, which y'all know if you watch my channel actively that I loves me some EDM. There was a lot of hip hop, urban hip hop. It was just a fun album. Even the album covers and things, like you had them wandering, it seemed, on a tarmac. Wow, my accent is so stinky. Where a plane would lift off from. And there was just this way that they kind of put it that Mama Jin Young was the heartbeat of this concept. And every album cover kind of played on that to some regard. They would either have him kind of looking at a different space from the rest of them, or not necessarily very close to them. It was just very nice. The album was one that you could actually let play from start to finish. It could kind of fuse back into some background noise for you. And that's a hallmark to a good album. You don't feel like you got to run over to it and like click off a song or anything. Not necessarily the case with, wow, what is my mouth saying? Not necessarily the case with Flight Log Turbulence, which came out in September of 2016. Just it was alright. I mean, it's not my most favorite of the Flight Log trilogy. Skyway sounds really fun. It kind of rocked. Now, when I said that they were distinctly putting Mama a little bit separate from them and things of that sort on album covers during this trilogy, they didn't do it on Turbulence. They're all together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But one person isn't very easy to see. Nonetheless, you can see all of the catastrophe and trauma on the album cover. So the word turbulence already implies a lot of destruction and danger and things of that sort. And they tried to emulate that in the songs, but it just didn't do it for me. The album really felt like it was all over the place. Much the same with the conceptual fashion for this. Yes, they went back to their jeans and things of the sort, jackets and distressed fabrics and things, but it was a little, it's a little hodgepodgey, just a tad on the homogenous hodgepodgey. Homogenous hodgepodgey, whatever. We had a lot of contributions from the guys on this album, so that can explain why things weren't necessarily consistent in terms of sound. Everyone was still getting used to being able to get writing and production credits at their name. A lot of you love Boom times 3, Boom Boom Boom, which was a Jackson Wang jam. But Skyway, which was not the lead single, like you actually heard it the first time during like concert performances and whatnot. Skyway was a JB track, and I feel like that should have been added to Flight Log Departure. I don't know. I'm not here to really break anything of that down. The whole album was R&B. That's what I'm gonna just plop a squat down with that and leave it at that. So this was 2016 in its nutshell. And then we get on over to the last portion of the album, which was Arrival. We waited until March of 2017 for Arrival. And Arrival had 8 tracks on it. And it was okay. It really was. We got them out in the desert and whatnot. And I'm okay with it. Like, this was I was just glad to see the doggone trilogy wrap up. And I still don't feel like I got all the answers. Did all my babies die? Are they all dead? Is Jin Young the only one who dead? Is he still at the hopsicle? I don't really know. It's neither here nor there. I had my own concepts about it and then didn't get to finish all of my theories about it before the whole album came back. And yeah. So they are solidly in the pocket of urban pop and R&B now. This is the album that makes that concrete. You got the kit drums that they're known for. And when I say kit drums, what I'm referring to, if you go back to Flight Log Departure and you listen to Fishbowl, how it starts off with that certain noise, you're gonna hear that kind of kit on a lot of their albums. It's like one of their defaults. It's like 9 different songs that got that doggone drum sound going on. They just have a preference for it. Whatever. Magic the Gathering. I can't do okay, so urban pop and R&B is solidified here in this concept. We've got a lot of earth tones in this because they've arrived. I thought they would be all up in the clouds and whatnot because we started off with Departing, but apparently they're back on solid ground, even though they ended like one of the teaser video images with the bullhorn out throwing snow at each other. And I didn't know if that meant they was dead or not. I just don't know. You had a lot of browns, a lot of forest and hunter greens, um taupes and khakis and things. And me as an earth sign, I really appealed to this. Like it was a very gorgeous colored concept. It really was. Right down to the album packaging. You had the sky. Of course, we're still tying in that aerial, ethereal feel. But the text and things that they used the green GOT7, our colored green. They had the text in a taupe, a mauve, whatever you want to call that color. And their fashion choices were very muted. All right, still at 2017, we dropped 7 for 7 in October of this past year, October 10th. So 10/10/2017. This album is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So Mad was the first time that they just blew my socks off with their sound. Identify as one of my favorites, but you can't deny the power of 7 for 7. This is when they came into their own after all that they was doing with Flight Log. 7 for 7 was a reflection of a solid direction and a distinct sound that goes to GOT7. They like the house moments. They like the urban contemporary and whatnot. Ooh, whatnot, excuse me, but they've really played around with their R&B production. The way that the album comes on, Moon You comes on so smooth. I was just talking about it during my first listen yesterday. You got these simple keyboard keys, so not a genuine piano. Dun, dun, dun. Then you have this album scratch. These synthesizers is pulsing. Then it just drop off, and I'm like, grown wig. The album is wonderful. 7 tracks. Moon You, Teenager You Are, Firework, Remember You, Nigga, Face. Just a good album. Another one that you can just let play from start to finish. The guys got their writers on. Bam Bam had his hand on Moon You as well as Young Jay. It was really, I was just really proud of it. Every single one of them had a contribution to this album. Now, going off of their discography just for a brief moment, JJ Project had a huge influence on 7 for 7 sounding the way that it did because JJ Project's album, which some of y'all might have slept on, but I'm going to be talking about it real soon in writing on macgmagazine.com. Somebody got with them 2 men and were like, let's flip you all's usual concepts right on its head and then pass that along onto the rest of your children. And mom and dad was like, all right. And then we got 7 for 7 from it. And it's a wonderful, wonderful album, very sonically pleasing. The fashion choices for it were very freeing. They pretty much could wear whatever they wanted. It was a matter of just showing that those 7 are for each other and they are for us. The unifying thing and the concept was their pendants. Oh my God. All 7 of them have custom charms on necklaces that they all wear. And there were some moments during live performances when they all had them on and whatnot. And their charms are distinct of who they are, but come together to make one whole piece, which is the entirety of the group, to show that no matter what's going on, whether we're working on independent projects, on film, on television, across Thailand, across Hong Kong, away from everybody being in the jungle. We are here for each other. We are brothers and we are here for our fandom. And I love it because I'm a marshmallow inside. Okay, we didn't have anything. Things got quiet. They ended last year very powerfully as a 7. And then recently came back this past March 12th to be exact, with Eyes on You. And they gave us Look, which is a jam. Look is a bop. Uh, they sound the same. They sound like this is a continuation of 7 for 7, which is a sign of a group getting comfortable with their sound. It's 7 tracks on this, technically 6 if you really want to be for real about it, because the 7th is Look, the instrumental version. But you've got Adidas all over this concept. Adidas lives and resides, down to the point where they're on the Adidas website here in Korea because they are the fashion ambassadors of it. So they are taking on, not necessarily in their sound, but in their attire, the urban style, the hip hop style with this concept. You can't remember anything distinct about the concept attire despite the variety of live performances, because they gave us a lot of performances of Look with different attire on. You've got the sweatsuits, the track suits, then you got one where they're doing their black and white rehearsal and they're in, jeans and t-shirts and whatnot. There's not a lot of fashion applique in the video or anything. The aesthetic surrounding them was far more capturing than the fashion per se. There's a lot of similarities and a lot of color choices, such as the blues and the whites and things. Well, it's only one hue of white, but the hues of blue that they decided to use, that's really, really awesome and seeing for that particular song's concept. The song that they did with Hyun, who was formerly of Sistar. I mean, I'm gonna always say she is of Sistar, but she's doing her own thing now anyway. We didn't get a full video for that, which is a loss. It should be a full video. But even with that, they didn't allow their fashion to be the color. There was a very colorful background. But again, the guys are just in urban fashion. They're in, open long button ups that have a t-shirt underneath it that might not fully be tucked in, denim, which is the key to fame for everybody when you really don't necessarily want to go buy new clothes. You just want to grab something and throw a cute top on it and get something going. Mullets, I don't know who. JB still look good, there's no denying it, God bless his face. Touch it as well, but mullets decided to creep on down people's necklines and stuff. And I just don't understand who made that decision. But that's a fashion concept as well. And I don't know why we keep doing it. I wonder if his hero being a mullet this weekend, or maybe he'll like just shock us all and cut it the hell off. I will be really pleased about that. There's a brotherly, chummy friend vibe that goes on with this. There's several album covers. The one that they started initially with is just the one that says Eyes on You in multiple ways, yellow, red, and white, just giving you some tonal hues to kind of know that they want things to feel airy, light, and fresh. It's on this mustard yellow background. The GOT7 is in red. I like it. It's also framed as if it's a camera taking a picture of you. I digs it. The concepts are interesting based upon discography. But the thing that always stays true for them is their passion for pop and R&B. We heard more of it and will more than likely continue to hear more of it as they grow in age and in experience, both on stage and off. So I really feel it. There's a crap load of synthesizers on this album. I'm really pleased about that because I love synths. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. That's all I got. We're not gonna talk about Morigateo and Heya. Where it's just that's over there in Japan, and I'm here in Korea. Tell me what you think about your albums. What were some of your favorite songs? Things of that sort. I want to know. I want to know. And yeah, I think tomorrow. What am I doing? Bye, y'all.